Welcome to the Crooked Stripes Podcast, where your hosts discuss various aspects of lawn care, landscaping, and snow removal. Let these two friendly Canucks help you cultivate a different outlook on the green industry. And with that, here are your hosts, Brendan Brubaker and Martin Hodder.
Guys, we're back again for another episode, and I must say, Martin, it is good to have you back on.
Yes, sir. Glad to be back. Missed you last week. I was away there, but you and old Kenny boy got her done.
Yeah, me and old Kenny boy got it done. Kenny boy got it done. Hard to get a word in with Kenny, but that's why we love him, right?
No. Yeah, not Stripe Life Ken.
No, I know, right? Yep. So, guys, we got a special guest. I've been saying we've wanted to get Kristine on for a while, and we finally got her on. So I have Kristine Sondergaard from Kerr Landscaping. Kristine, how's it going today?
Good. How are you guys?
Oh, we're just great, thank you.
Yeah, totally jealous of your background. I know we were talking about that before we hopped on, but I would love to live by the water every day of my life if I could. So.
Oh, I know. I finally slipped away to the cottage for the week. If you guys are listening through audio, in front of me is the lake, which is great. So brought my whole setup so we could keep doing this. So I know, finally good to take a week off. So yeah, so great to have you on, Kristine. You sent us a few things you'll want to chat about. So super looking into getting after that. So yeah.
I know I kind of wanted to chat about like you guys first a little bit. So I know like both of you have built quite a platform on social media. And I know a lot of people like to equate like followers with like business growth and all of that stuff, but I like to flip the script a little bit and focus more on social media as like a community building tool. And I know you guys have built like such strong communities through your platforms. So you want to kind of like speak to how you've done that, I guess, is like a good place to start, and then I can kind of like bounce off that.
Yeah, sure. Do you want me to go first, Martin? I don't know.
Sure, I'll copy your answer.
We're similar. Yeah, I know. Me, definitely like a consistency thing is how I think I've gotten to mine to where they are now. Like posting at least every day, if not a couple times a day. I think I've been doing that for a couple years now. Maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I used to do 3 to 4 posts a day, but I think that really helped gain a community quite quickly doing that. Now, of course, kind of doing selfie style stories kind of to your followers. I find that builds a bit of a connection with your following. But I'm going to have to say being consistent every day has been definitely to where I've gotten. So didn't start off like that, that's for sure. So,
and I'd say mine's kind of from constantly engaging with like every comment on my post, unless it's something real stupid and I don't want to say something too saucy back. You'll get a response out of me, whether it just be a simple reply or like engage in a conversation. I think that goes a long way. And then a lot of times it'll lead from a comment into a DM, and I have hundreds of people that I have from all over the place that I have all these conversations with about random things, whether it be something in my post, another question, whatever, right? So I think that definitely helps to kind of build that kind of community base as well.
Yeah, definitely. I know like with Kerr, we, for the like last year and a bit that I've been with them doing their socials, we really focused on like using Instagram as a lead gen platform. Like we were like, oh, we're gonna like post all of our best like projects and all that stuff, and like we were hoping to get leads through the platform. And we've recently like completely pivoted to using it more as a community building platform, because we noticed that like everybody that follows us, ironically enough, are like competitors. Like all of our competitors in the industry, like in our region, are the ones who follow us. It's all people who we like subcontract to. It's like friends of our employees. It's our employees. Like we realize that most of the people following us are not 40 to 60 years old and able to drop like 100K on a project. So we recently completely pivoted our strategy and have focused more on like our content pillars or themes, if you will, are innovative solutions, sharing success, and community building. So because we're going into our 30th year now, like sharing success is kind of where we're trying to go of like, what did we learn over the last 30 years? And like, how can we help people who are just starting out? Because a lot of the people following us are like a year, 2 years into their business. And because we're 30 years in now, like there's so much that Dave, Jason, like our general manager, Justin can talk about that they've learned over the last couple of years. And then we're also trying to get back to like innovation. Like we used to MacGyver, or so I've been told. We used to like MacGyver equipment all the time and like just like throw something together to be able to keep kind of the needle like moving. And we've kind of gotten away from that a bit. So we're really trying to get back to that like innovative solution side of things, of trying new equipment, going to like different shows and seeing if we can demo things, and then getting back to like sharing what we think about it and that kind of thing, which I know both of you kind of do on your with your content as well, which I think is so valuable. And then our last piece of like community building is like getting out in the community a bit more. Like we just did an event with Landscape Ontario called Touch a Truck. So people could come out and like get in the excavator, get in like our equipment and stuff like that. And like there's so many cute photos of kids in the equipment, and like the amount of times they were just pressing the horn was insane. But like that kind of thing is really the way we're going. And I'm so glad that Justin, our general manager, was so like open to us pivoting that way, because I think so many people see Instagram as like, well, I have to get leads from it to get any ROI. Like I have to like, you know, have conversations. I have to have link clicks, all these things. And like for him to be so open to adjusting to being like, I want to build community on here. We want to help others on here. We want to focus on like kind of sharing more of the behind the scenes. I was like, this is awesome to have someone who's like that forward thinking. So that's been like a huge shift for us. But so far it's going pretty well. So I'm pretty happy with that.
Going to touch on that right quick about like your Touch a Truck and all that stuff. I know Jobber just put out their like did you get that at all or see it, the Jobber blue collar report, talking about all these like young kids and stuff that are basically not being told anything about trades. There's still this like huge stigma around it, and something like that might be kind of things needed to kind of make that turn, get these kids interested in it, and then it like long term ROI, you might get an employee out of it. They might be a 13, 14-year-old kid that never sat in a machine before, and then is like, this thing's awesome, and then like wants to learn more, and then kind of just follows that trail, right? So there's definitely that side of it as well. So
yeah, I think that's like the goal eventually, is like to almost use it as like an HR platform, like to actually have people like love it so much, or like love what we're doing so much that they're like, I want to work for them. Like I think a lot of people in the business know about Ken White Construction. So like they blew up on socials, and everybody was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like if you looked at their TikTok comments, it was like, how do I work for you? Are you hiring? Like just because of the way that he portrayed like how the team works together, the kind of projects they do. And like I don't want to say copying or anything like that, inspired, if you will, by like kind of the platform they created to eventually do that, where like people are like, this is sick, I want to work for them. So, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, Ken White is a talented dude. Oh my gosh. He's making some sick videos.
Well, and it started with like a skid steer pushing snow in their storage locker. And he's probably like the first guy I started like watching YouTube stuff on. Yeah. And it'd be like a 30-minute video, and I just watch him plow all these lots, and I'm like, I just spent a half hour watching this dude. Like, it's just I don't know. And that's like, I want to do that. Yeah. I know. Not necessarily the work side of it, but like, because I was already doing the landscaping and snow, but like, why can't I do that with the social side of it? I think that's what a lot of people think, right? Like you guys, same thing. Like, you're not trying to copy, but repeat.
Mimic. Yeah. And I agree. I think it's
mimic and modify.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny too, because I know like a lot of his stuff on YouTube, like he literally just probably suction cupped a GoPro onto like his skid steer and then just went at it. And I know like something that I struggled with when I first came on as like Kerr's social media manager is like getting the team involved. I was like, I can't be at sites all across the like Kitchener-Waterloo region all the time. Like A, gas money, but like B, like I just like, I don't have the ability to clone myself. So a lot of them, like, quite honestly, I gotta tip my hat to them. Some of the videos that we have on our account, they took. Like, they're getting so into it now. Like, when they see that like the video that they took gets posted on our account, like they're getting all excited. So I'm like really glad that they're getting involved now. And then I have a GoPro that I like dusted off. It's like forever ago that I bought it. But again, they have like GoPro mounts on equipment now. So I'll just be like, hey, you have the GoPro for the day, hit this button, I'll come pick it up at the end of the day. And they've gotten so involved, which is really great. We definitely see more involvement, ironically enough, from our design build team. And like it's a little bit of crickets on our like lawn like or property maintenance side. So I'm like trying to be like, guys, you do cool stuff too. Like I don't want to just showcase all of our design build stuff. I'm like the amount of videos I'm sure you guys have taken of like stripes where everyone's like, this is awesome, I could watch this for hours. I'm like, I need more of that.
Yeah,
like,
I need more videos. That's funny. What was I gonna say? Did you make like a bit of an incentive for the guys to take and send you the videos and pictures, or they just kind of, I don't know, made that culture there at Kerr so they wanted to do that?
I think it kind of came up organically for the design build team. Like I think a lot of them are quite active on their own social media, sharing what they do and that kind of thing. So a lot of them will post on their own social media and they'll just tag us and then we can share it on our story or share it on our feed or anything like that. But we just actually started a bit of an incentive program. So like running throughout the month of August, we have like a photo or a video contest. So anybody that submits a photo or a video is like entered to win $100 if they get picked as like the best photo, the best video, and then $50 if it's the second best or anything like that. And it kind of like tiers down from there. But we like, since I've worked with them for like a year and a half now, and this is the first time that like we've not had to do an incentive program, but like have brought one in, because otherwise things have just kind of come up organically, which is great to see the guys get so involved.
Yeah, because we do that. We have like an incentive program, and one of like and mine's the opposite. Like my hardscape guys, I could strap a GoPro to them and somehow it end up turning off and I wouldn't get footage of it. But my maintenance and like mowing guys and stuff are really good for that. One of them's like super into it. Like he started like his own like his garden boy is what he calls it, and like it's all like trimming beds. Like he runs my maintenance group and he loves it. And now he's like posting his own stuff and then tags me, and it's just awesome to get like involved. And I just need everyone else to do the same. But little harder than that, but
yeah,
trying
to like get our maintenance guys on it a little bit more. And I know like we're trying to include them in more content, so we do like a day in the life now, and like I try to take any of the like editing side or like the kind of difficulty out of it, where I'm like, you can send me 20 videos and like I'll figure it out. Like I just need you to just click like record. That's all I'm asking. Yep. And then like I can do the rest. So I'm really trying to make the like barrier for them a little bit
very
smaller,
easy,
so that it's just like, I'm like, or even if you take the GoPro and record for 3 hours, like I'll sit and sift through it. Like I'm not asking you to do any of the like heavy lifting. So yeah, try to make it as easy as possible. But even the day in the life stuff, like the guys like love to help out with that. And I think too, like we have a good problem of the guys not being on their phones. Like ironically, like I look back at this and I'm like, maybe this is a good thing that I'm not getting any content. It's because like they're out, they're enjoying what they're doing, or like they're head down, you know, like asking them for footage is like, I'm too busy, I don't want to do that. And I'm like, well, maybe that's not a bad thing. So, you know, yeah,
that's a great thing. Yeah, I think to stick up for the maintenance guys, when I'm doing a big maintenance day, I feel like I'm in the zone. I just want to keep going. I don't want to stop and like, oh, I got to set the tripod up, or I got to get the drone out. I'm just like, screw it, I'll do it next week. I want to get this done. So
and then
I don't
next
know
week
if
never
there's
comes.
some of that behind it. Yeah, I know.
I think too, like the DB guys, they're obviously in like one spot for quite a bit of time. Like they'll be on one project for like 3 weeks. So it gives me even an opportunity to go see them a lot easier than like I have to like look at our GPS system to be able to track down the maintenance guys, because they're like 20 minutes here, 20 minutes here, travel time. Like it's a lot harder to track them down. And I think like just as you said, because they're like kind of bouncing from one site to the next and like they're just in the zone. It's a lot harder to like take the time, and like they're having lunch in the truck more often than not. They're not like sitting on a site for very long. Oh, and I'm not ripping on them. Like the stuff that they do send is amazing, and like they're super involved in other ways. So that's like huge for us. I think it just like from a logistics standpoint is so much easier to capture design build content.
Yeah, it's definitely easier. Except for at Hotter Landscaping.
Yeah. We can swap. I'm down for that. Like we'll just
Oh well, it is what it is. We'll get there one of these days. So
for sure.
And if not, we'll just have lots of content of maintenance and mowing and whatever I can come up with.
Well, there you go. Good. Nice, Kristine. Was there maybe some tips and tricks that you've learned at Kerr that you maybe want to pass on to our listeners here?
Yeah, for sure. So I know like one of our biggest things recently is like that we completely pivoted our strategy from like it being a lead gen platform to more of a community building platform. So I would be like, my biggest thing is don't just post and ghost, which is like such a cliche thing to say, but like look at your analytics and like be present on the platform, because like it wasn't until we like really looked at who was looking at our content, like even the age demographic, like we were like, okay, well the right age is seeing this, like so what's going on. And it wasn't until we started looking at like, okay, well all of our following or followers are like, it's all competitors, it's all subcontracts, it's all people within our network, it's not people that are necessarily like looking for a retaining wall. So I would say like really if you're new at it, if you don't have a social media manager or you're not really well versed on the platform, like look at your analytics dashboard and like use that to kind of pivot or like think of like who are you talking to. And like along those lines, I think for the longest time we've all been told on social you have to like post promotional, inspirational, and educational content. Well, those like pillars, if you will, are so outdated now, and quite honestly, like really hard to see yourself in. So like as a business, and like I made this mistake too when I was like first starting as a social media manager, I just tried to lump everybody under those pillars, but like that doesn't feel authentic. It doesn't feel genuine to the brand or the company that I was posting for. So instead, we've pivoted to like, what do you value as a business? What does your audience value? And then like Venn diagram it, what's in the middle, right? So like with Kerr, like we want to share our success now. We've hit 30 years. We're at the point where like we're trying to build a legacy and like we want to help others do that. So like other people want to build their business. We want to share ours. Boom, right in the middle. We're going to share like leadership skills, how we got to where we are, like how, you know, our certain processes and things behind the scenes. So I think for people just starting out that feel really like stuck with their content strategy, like grab a pen and paper, don't grab your computer, like unplug for a second and like write down everything you value. It can be honesty, transparency. It could be a brand that you value. Maybe you're a Milwaukee company, maybe you're a DeWalt company, like whatever it be. And then things that your audience or like your ideal client values. So maybe those are the same values, and then you can find a happy medium of things you want to talk about so that you know that like all the content you're generating feels good, but will also resonate with your audience so that you're building that community. People are seeing things that like mean something to them. They're not just like scrolling past your stuff. So I think like that's a big thing that I've learned recently. And then in terms of like content that does really well, obviously Reels, everybody knows that it does really well. It's an overhaul to do on your own though. So like I know that the barrier to entry there is a bit higher. And carousels. So like carousels are the swipeable posts. Those perform really well too because there's more than one post within a post, if you will. On the explore page, it will show more than one of the posts within like more than one of the slides. More than once. So like if you're ever looking at your feed, maybe you'll see a post from someone that you follow and it's like the first slide of the carousel, and then later in the day you're actually seeing the second slide, but it's the same post, right? Like I'm sure you guys have seen
I've noticed that a bunch.
So you're hitting your audience twice essentially, rather than if you post a static post, you're hitting them once, if that. So Instagram's definitely gone the way of like really liking Reels obviously, but carousels as well. So I I try not to post like one photo anymore. I always try to post like a photo dump of like our recent projects or that kind of thing, or even dumping photos into like a reel format so it's a video does way better than if you're just like, here's a picture, have fun, you know?
Okay. I'm gonna try that, because that my last couple, like, now do you have kind of like a pattern, or like do you go like real photo, or do you just kind of go because like when I first started I would try to do that. I try to go like 2 reels and a photo, and then it kind of, I did that like consistently for a while, and then I don't know if it did anything, and then I just kind of went random, and I just kind of go like, it might be 5 reels to 1 post. Like, do you try to plan that out, or do you just kind of go with the flow of it?
Yeah, I think it, like, I have leaned into the like reel side of things with Current Cur a little bit. So most of our stuff is reels more recently. Just because I find that's what's best for us. Like, it was really trial and error for a while. I was like, maybe carousels will do well for us because they're a little easier for like sharing tips and tricks and educational stuff. But they just weren't getting the traction we were looking for. So I think sometimes it's like just A/B test it and like try to figure it out. But I usually try to talk to clients as well. If they're posting stuff and like I'm not, from a strategy perspective, is like, what's your capacity? Like, is editing 3 reels a week like realistic for you? Or are you going to do that for 1 week when you're super motivated, and then next week you're not going to post at all? Yeah. So I think like the biggest thing if you're doing it on your own is like, what's your capacity? Like, realistically, how much time can you do this? Or like, is just quickly posting photos with like a caption of like, this was a recent project, we used TechoBlock, we used Unilock, blah blah blah, and like, here's what's going on. Is that more realistic for you? Is like just finding that happy medium where, like you both have said, you can stay consistent to grow your audience and you're not burning yourself out in the process, because like you got a whole team to lead on the other side of things.
Yeah, right? On the business, the other business end of it, for sure. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. So I've always wondered that, like, if there was like kind of a strategy for it, or if people just kind of go random. Because I know when you started too, Brandon, you were like that, didn't you? I remember like when your page, it was everything always like, it was like real photo, real stuff, like lined up like the whole way for like the longest.
Yeah, I did. I'd always do a reel or a video, photo, video, right? So I'd always go in that pattern. So then on the page, it would always, the photo panel or pane would always move over together, right? So it'd look really clean. Okay.
Interesting.
You know. Hard to keep that going for.
Yeah,
I kept that going for a couple years though.
I was gonna say it was a long time that you had that.
Kristine, I really
like messed it up like once.
Oh, I did that for years. I know, right? Kristine, I liked how you touched on like, what are you like realistically able to do? Because I hear so many people come to me and go, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna do one every day, and like I'm gonna edit them, and it's gonna be great." And they're good and maybe good for 10 days, and then they jump off a cliff and don't post for 2 months. So I'm glad you said realistic, because that's like, something's better than nothing, right? So.
Yeah. And I think like I fell into the same trap too, like with my own business and like the social media management that I was doing, because I was doing it for clients. I was like, I'm in this like Instagram world all the time. And so like I completely fell off. I got to the point where like I actually deleted my business page on Instagram. Worst decision I ever made. Don't ever do that. Just hide it. Just go private. Don't delete it. But I just got like so burnt out by it, because like when you're posting for everybody else, the last thing you want to do is post for yourself. But then I like kind of surrounded myself with people that inspired me, like all the people on my feed, all the people I follow. And like, I know how cliche it is to say like follow people that feel good, but like it's so true. Instead of like following people that were like, if you don't have, you know, $10,000 a month, or if you don't have this, or if like you know, and it was all like kind of like scarcity mindset and like fear mongering. I was like, ew, this feels like really icky and not a fan. But like instead being around people that like kind of inspire you or like help you grow in whatever industry you're in is like so much more beneficial. But I also, it's interesting when I do my own content calendar, because like you got a plan. I was
going to ask you that. If you do that.
For the week. So I do like a content creation day for myself on like a Monday or a Tuesday or like a Sunday. And then I only post 1 week at a time. I'm not making a calendar 4 weeks out because I don't find that I don't know what the next trend cycle is going to be. I don't know the next like pop culture moment. I don't know what's going to happen in the Olympics that's going to turn into a meme. Like I have no idea what's going to go like happen. So I find if I'm planning things 4 weeks out, I can't pivot fast enough, or I can't create content that's like in fast enough. So I just find that's what works best for me. But obviously with clients, it's a little harder to be like, yeah, I'm going to tell you what your content's going to be on Sunday. They're going to be like, we need to plan more than that. So it works for me. And I think like doing your own social media, maybe that works. But like for clients, it's a lot harder for me to be like, yeah, I'm going to tell you on Sunday what we're doing. So we plan a little farther out, but as like a bigger company, I think that works. But when you have such a personal brand, like the both of you have, like Brandon was saying, where he has like the selfie content and stuff like that, having such a personal brand, I think being able to pivot and doing things a little bit more like rapidly is a better bet. But again, goes back to capacity. Like, can you do that every week?
I know. Because you could do you could do this for 40 hours a week. Social stuff easily. It's like editing videos and it just never ends.
It's basically another job.
It's
another part. Right? Yeah, well, and that's like like for me, it's almost like another like part to full-time job. By the time you spend like, because I post a video every day, you try to post like a story or two. So like right there, you're probably 20 some posts a week, and then like replying to comments, engaging with people, responding, DMs, everything else. Like it adds up pretty quick, right? So it's definitely takes on your capacity a little bit. So yeah, no, it's a fun game.
It's such a fun game, but yeah, the opportunities that you can get out of it are wild if you really put in the effort and the energy, but it takes some effort and energy. Holy smokes, right?
Yeah.
So like, I'll get all my jobbers done and my emails and my little reminder list, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do 3 posts, and then I look at the clock and it's 11 p.m. and I'm like, I gotta go to bed or later.
Get them tomorrow.
Pull a Martin 2 a.m. But I'll get them tomorrow, and then the next day, I'll get it tomorrow. So I think just maybe, like you said, make a dedicated time where you can really come up with some good ideas and schedule some stuff. I think you have to do it because it's hard.
I find it too, like I use like the notes app on my phone. So if I'm like out and about and I have something that I'm like, oh, this would make like a really good content piece, like I just jot down like 5 words about it or something like that. And so just to like, because I know we all like lose our train of thought all the time. So like I'll just quickly pull out my phone and I'll be like, this would be a really great piece of content. And I just have like bullet points for like different clients or even for myself. And then when I sit down and I'm making a content calendar, I can go back and be like, oh yeah, I saw that thing and I think that would be a really good idea. And so like you have almost like a prompt. Like you're not just like sitting down like, okay, well, I told myself that I have to make content even though I don't feel creative or like I'm struggling through a bit of a creative block. Instead, you're like, I have a prompt to at least be like, oh, I saw that, Milwaukee came out with a new tool. I want to talk about it. Or I saw this thing online and like, I think it could be a funny meme or whatever it be. But like you have a prompt. You're not just sitting there like, pulling from thin air, especially after a long day. Like you guys are both working in the business and trying to post, right? So like at the end of the day, you're probably like, my brain is fried. I just want to go to bed. And you're trying to think of like, what can I give to my audience right now? So like, I think sometimes having those prompts is really helpful. And I created like a whole guide with like 50 prompts. I like to call them hooks, but like they are prompts essentially. And they just like help you kind of get on a train of thought, because essentially like a lot of the videos we see online with those hooks of like 5 ways to blank or like steal my method for blank, in a sense, it is like a prompt for you to be like, okay, well, what method does my audience want to know about? Or what are 5 things I've learned in 5 years of business or whatever it be? And so you're providing value to your audience, but like you're also helping yourself in the sense of it just feels like a conversation. It doesn't feel like, oh, I have to share this educational piece of content. It's just like, steal my method for what? Oh, what do I have a method for?
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
I never really do like list of stuff. What I do for that, I usually like the note idea. I probably should do that. I probably look a little less crazy because I text myself on my phone.
Yeah.
And then it always comes up twice. But what I do a lot is like, if I'm like scrolling and like say a sound comes, that's what I do a lot of mine. I'll send the sound to myself.
Mm-hmm.
So that if I'm trying to come up with a video or whatever, I'll just scroll through the text to myself and be like, oh yeah, that one. And then I click on it, play it, and then just make a reel from that. I don't really do like a list of content. I kind of just wing that pretty much every day.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like that idea. It'd probably be a lot easier on my brain at night when I'm trying to figure out what to post for the day at 9:30 so I don't ruin my streak. So
yeah. But I mean, it's really
you
like
can't ruin your streak.
If you have a routine that works where you're like, I just like save things throughout the day and then like blast it out at night, like if that works for you, that's great. I find that like, because most of my job is in the like creative space and I have to be creative like 9 to 5, at the end of the day when I have to do it for myself, I'm like, I got nothing left. So if I have something to prompt me, I'm like, oh yeah, I can talk about that. But I say, like, especially with captions, I feel like there's been such a, like, some people are like, short captions for the win. Other people are like, write your life in a caption.
Right.
I've been testing out the write your life in a caption.
Okay.
Just because I think that I'm a yapper. I'm like, this is so fun. I'm just going to, like, talk to my friends in the caption. But that's essentially what I do. Like, all the posts that I make on my own account, like, my caption is like I'm having a conversation with you. Like, it has all the same like LOL, OMG, like all of that stuff. I don't take any of that out because I feel like it's so much easier to talk to your audience like they're people than like trying to be ChatGPT essentially. Like, I know it has great caption writing skills, but it will never talk to your audience the way you want it to talk to them because it's AI generated. Great tool, not discounting ChatGPT at all. But it's not going to understand your brand voice unless you spend so much time like engineering it to do that. So I think like, I know a lot of people want to use it to make it easier, but I always say like, imagine you're sitting down with a friend that you haven't seen in 3 months. Talk to them. Like, what would you say to them? You know, and like, you'll just be able to like word vomit it out essentially. So, you know.
So are you having better results with the longer type captions, or were you kind of similar? I said these are all things I kind of like, not necessarily struggle with, but I kind of go back and forth on. And I've always been like, oh, short, like 1-line little captions, something kind of like catchy. And that's what I've always went with. And then I see other people that like yourself, like when you're saying that, like type out these big things. And I always find myself clicking them and reading them, even though sometimes I'm like, why did I just read that when it's basically just kind of... So do you find that works better, the long ones?
Yeah, I think it depends on like what your post is. Like, if your post itself is like meaty enough with like visuals or like whatever you're sharing within the post that like I have no reason to go to the caption to get more information, don't write a long caption. Okay. If you're doing something in the post that's like a hook where you're like, I don't know, saying something like 5 ways to improve your monthly billables, but that's the only thing that's in the reel, and they have to go to the caption to find more information. Yeah, they're going to want to go and find more information. So you're going to want to write like a book. But if there's no, I try to like, it's kind of like it flip flops. If there's no information in the post, they're going to want to go to the caption. If there's all the information in the post and no reason to go to the caption, you don't have to like spend forever and ever writing one.
Gotcha.
But it does, like, I find especially for reels, carousels, short and sweet is fine. But for reels, like a longer form caption, I find is also really good for keywords because it gives you more opportunity to write like landscaping, lawn care, mower, trimmer, all of that stuff in like the story that you're kind of crafting in the caption.
Okay.
Because again, Instagram, like everything else, is always evolving, and it likes keywords more than hashtags now. So that's kind of the route that it started to go. So if you have a longer caption, you have much more of an opportunity to like drop keywords because Instagram is turning into a search engine slowly.
And that was gonna be my next question. Right. Your thoughts on hashtags and that sort of stuff, whether they should be, because like, again, I hear it from, I know Brandon's really big on when he does his hashtags. He always puts them in a comment. I've always put them in the description. Like
I
I've
used
always,
to be.
Oh, you're not
Right.
doing that anymore? You're just switching. So that's what I mean. I just kind of, and
Well,
these must be trends that are probably
yeah.
constantly just changing anyways, and just kind of follow. There's no set plan, I guess. Is that kind of what you're seeing as well?
Yeah, I think like hashtags were really big when like Instagram was a little bit newer because not many people were using them, but now we have hashtags that like have a billion uses, and like your shit is getting completely like lost in there. Like you're not going to be found in 1 in a billion. Like you're not that needle in a haystack, unfortunately, you know, like, so I think like if you are using hashtags, you want to use stuff that's like lower usage. So like maybe like 10,000 uses, you know, 5,000 uses, like that kind of stuff where like you're more likely to be seen through it. I don't think they definitely don't hurt. And I know that on your analytics on like certain posts, you can see how your hashtags have performed. So if you click on like insights on that post, you can see how many people you reach through hashtags. So if you're noticing that like you're reaching quite a few through hashtags, see what hashtags you're using on that post and use them again. But if you're noticing that like out of the 10,000 people you're reaching on a post, you're reaching 100 from hashtags, like sure, that's great. It's another 100, but like it's not worth it, I would say. But at the same time, like depending on how much time you're putting into it, is 100 that like what's 100?
Your bang for your buck's not really there if you're only getting 100 out of 10,000.
Yeah,
gotcha.
But I am seeing now that people like they'll do hashtags, and then under the hashtags they're actually like writing keywords. So they'll put like landscape, lawn care, design build, like Guelph, Kitchener, Waterloo, Nova Scotia, or like Nova Scotia landscaping, and they're actually like writing words, like keywords, under their hashtag block. And I haven't tried that yet, so I can't really speak to it, but that's the route that I'm seeing people go because we're seeing this shift towards keywords where they're listing them like hashtags.
Just without the actual pound sign. Interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow, look at all these follow up to this.
Look at all these things we're learning, Martin.
Before we change here, I know you mentioned like Guelph, Kitchener, Nova Scotia, all that. Do you find that helps? Because I found that a lot when I started using like Sydney, Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, East Coast, and even Canada. I find since I started doing that, I find my like when you go into your follower percentage and all that, I found that has like really skyrocketed. Like my actual followers local, which I think this is just my thoughts on, they could be extremely wrong, help keep our followers local, which is why I think we drive a lot of I know you guys don't really do like, it's not really lead based, but mine 100% is like, we get a pile of work. Like I think I looked at 5 jobs last week directly through Instagram. So like we are getting some. Do you think that would like plays a part in it? Like, and are you always using those kind of location tags, whether it be stories, post, whatever? Do you find that makes a difference?
So we try to put our location, like current landscaping, in the location of every post. And then if you're using those hashtags and they're working, I think that's great. I would agree with you that like Instagram will show your content to anybody unless you tell it not to. So like by adding like Guelph, Nova Scotia, Kitchener, Waterloo, whatever, like I think it's helping you niche into that market a little bit more and get in front of the right people. So it's definitely not hurting. So yeah, I would say like keep up with that if that's the way that you're able to find people within your market. Because we're kind of like we're going to the point where we're more like community building. If it gets in front of people in Guelph, Kitchener, Waterloo, or beyond, we don't really mind. So we're not niching down as much. But yeah, like I think Instagram doesn't know, like as smart as the algorithm is, it's stupid. Like it doesn't really know where you are. So I think by adding those hashtags, it's definitely helping.
It's kind of narrowing it in a little bit. Because like I think we're at like, I think in like Nova Scotia, we're like 4,000 of our 17,000 is like dialed in there, and then our Sydney's like our most followed, because usually like you get them kind of all over, it's spread all over. Like Canada's number 1, which is very rare, and then Nova Scotia is like a good chunk of that, and then like like Sydney itself is like, I think it's like 8% or something of our followers are within 25 kilometers of where I live. So I think that's, like I said, I don't know if that actually works. I don't know if you kind of heard anything about it, if that's recommended. So I just figured I'd ask and see if if anyone's in Sydney that does it, it doesn't work. Don't use it. It's not worth it.
Yeah. I know there's like a friend of mine. She's a registered massage therapist, and her strategy was to follow like pretty much everything that's within a certain city. So like she's based in Guelph, as am I. And so she started following like restaurants in Guelph. She started following like other businesses in Guelph and stuff like that. And I think Instagram started to realize that like her whole community or who she was following was in a certain place. And so like I think that helped push her in Guelph as well. So like if you're following like quite a few people from your area, I think, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure that it's able to kind of figure that out as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The algorithm's a whole lot smarter than I am, so.
Yeah. It seems like
I drink every night because of it. No.
Yeah, I know. It's like it's changing so often. All of this stuff, the way you used to do things. Like I remember it'd be like, oh, the follow and unfollow method, like 6 years ago. Like follow a couple people and then you unfollow them. And then they follow you back. Yeah. Then you just keep doing that to get more followers.
Yeah. I think they're onto that now.
I think they're onto that.
Unfortunately.
They'll catch you. Nice.
Yeah.
Cool, Kristine. What do you think is your favorite social? What's your favorite social
platform?
Platform?
Yeah, platform.
Yeah, platform.
Sorry, platform. Yeah.
No, that's all good.
Sorry, you glitched out there.
I've really been loving TikTok, to be completely honest with you. Instagram's a love-hate because it's gone to the point where there's so many people on there and you have to be so strategic with your content unless like, especially when you're first starting out. And since I deleted my business page, I'm at like square one again. So this has been a great like case study for me, but because I'm like starting out again, I find like getting traction on Instagram is like quite a challenge unless you started to build the community. Instagram on the other hand, or TikTok, sorry, on the other hand, you throw up a post and it has like the same chance as everyone else of going viral because the algorithm is just like, oh, you're posting, great. And a lot of the stuff that used to work on Instagram is still super usable on TikTok. Like if you post twice a day on TikTok consistently, the chances of you building your audience like a million times faster than on Instagram is like so high. So I was like, I'm kind of testing that theory right now. So like with my business, I'm posting twice a day, maybe 3 times a day, which I know is insane, but and we'll see how consistent I'm able to stay with that and how like realistic that is. But to like grow my audience on there and then eventually kind of shoot them back to Instagram. So I'm kind of doing it backwards. Just because I find it's like I posted something the other day, same video on Instagram and on TikTok, 100 or 120 views or something like that on Instagram, 800 on TikTok, same video. That
drives me wild.
Bonkers.
Yeah,
like
bananas.
I had the one the other day. It had it was a plowing video. Like I posted in April,
right?
And like just 3 different platforms. 3 completely different results. Same video, same caption, same song. Mm-hmm. The one on Facebook.
Is that the Facebook one?
Like 780,000 views on Facebook.
Wow.
And it was like 2 months after I posted it came back. Then that same video on Instagram had like, I don't know, 50,000. And then on TikTok had like 900.
Yeah.
Just 900. And I was like, I don't. And then the other times it's like the complete opposite. I'll post a video, like you said, a video on Instagram might get 1,000 and TikTok like 55 and 55,000. I'm like, I just can't. I just keep posting the same stuff. And like one day it will work and I'll figure it out. But until then, it's just, I don't know. Me and TikTok don't get along.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that helped me differentiate like strategy on TikTok and Instagram is like a community platform. So when you start your content on there, or like let me do this backwards. When you start your content on TikTok, nobody knows who you are. So you don't want to say like, hey, the other day, because people are like, I have no idea what you did the other day. This is the first time I've ever seen you in my life. So you want to start your content on TikTok as if like you've never talked to this person ever in your life. So you want to start with like, a hook, or you want to start with something that will like stop their scroll, rather than on Instagram, you can say like, hey, I'm going to this workshop, or I'm doing this thing, or whatever, like if you've been following along, or you can use some of those like more leading prompts because people have been following along because they're like a part of your community, rather than on TikTok, you want to just like off the cuff be like, I tried out a new mower the other day, here's what I thought. Instead of like, hey, as you know, I, try out mowers every month, blah, 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 blah. Because on TikTok, they're going to be like, I don't care that you've tried them 3 times a month.
And they'll never see me again.
Yeah.
And they might never see me again.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like I sometimes I'll be like following along, someone posts a video and like, you don't scroll, or you literally like swipe down by 2 seconds and the whole video refreshes and then it's gone forever.
Yeah.
And then like you'll never see them again. I don't know. Like I said, me and TikTok aren't friends, but whatever. It is what it is. It's an ongoing battle, but I got to do it. So.
Yeah. There's so many platforms to be on now. Like there's like X, and there's Threads now, which is like Instagram's version of being like, we want to be Twitter, and like all of these things. And it's just like, I always say, like, pick a platform you can do really well and stick to it. Like, you don't need to be on every single one. You don't need to be on like Reddit, X, Threads, Facebook, Snapchat, like all of these things. Like, pick one, be good at it. There you go.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, Kristine, because like, where do you draw the line? And it gets to be so overwhelming. I know I tried to do it all, but it gets to be too much, right?
I think everyone tries to do it all in the beginning, and then usually 1 or 2 just falls off, and then especially like it's easier like when you're doing like TikTok. Like I said, can't figure it out. I've been on that for like 3 years now, and it's like I hit like 2,100 3 years ago, and it's been there ever since. I have videos, like I'll have a video that it had like 2 million views, and I got like 25 followers from it. I'm like, I don't understand. Anyway, but yeah, I forget where I was going. And then YouTube. What are your thoughts on YouTube? We talked to everybody that comes on about
let's
YouTube.
get into that,
because everyone wants to start a YouTube channel, and
no one ever does. Year. Do you do
put
that
more
for your
time
business?
in it?
Yeah,
I think like, well, since most of the content that you guys post is like video format anyway, or especially short form, like YouTube Shorts would be a great resource because you already have the content. Like, you guys have a bank of content essentially. And so YouTube Shorts is great because it kind of performs like, I'm not super well versed on YouTube just because I like haven't had any clients that have really jumped on there. But one of the clients that I had a couple months ago, they are a sports tech company. So we would share our tutorials on YouTube Shorts for like how to use the app. And they performed really well. Like, we didn't post on YouTube that much. And like the first one we posted got like 1,500 views, which like for their audience was actually not bad. So I think like short form content on YouTube, anytime a platform pumps out a new type of content or a new way to interact like on the platform, it's going to like flood its algorithm to promote it. Right. So like Shorts is still pretty new. So like the algorithm is trying to like get more people to use that new feature. Right. So I think it's still relatively new. So it's a great place to be. And I know I like a lot of YouTubers use it as like a promo for the video coming up. So like, here's a 15-second clip of the video that's coming up. And then it'll be like, new video on Sunday. And so it's a really great like funnel almost too, to like take people to your page and that kind of thing. And YouTube is also really great for SEO as well. So like long form content is really great on there.
Right.
Especially with podcasts and stuff like that. So, and since you guys already have the videos from this, like this would be a great thing to just throw up on YouTube. Because if you searched Crooked Stripes, your YouTube, like if you're using Crooked Stripes in your title on your YouTube, that's showing up on Google because Google owns YouTube.
Right.
It's all
Brandon, get them up there.
Hey, now you know what? I put about 10 or 11 of them on there, and then we all started working, and I don't think I put one up. So
I was gonna say it's a good winter project.
Yeah, but I will upload all of them. I will do that. That's on the winter list.
So people can see our face listening to it.
Yeah, there you go. Listen and watch.
So I got another question for you. So I know you said like your company and stuff. So are you full-time with Kerr? Are you part-time, or do you have like your own business and they're kind of like a client and kind of head of that? relationship come about?
Yeah.
Great question.
I try not to say that like I got them as a client through nepotism, but my boyfriend works with Kerr,
Okay.
and he's their project manager on the design build side. So I'd seen quite a few people in passing from like going to shows or going to like events like Touch a Truck, that kind of thing. So I like knew of the company.
Okay.
And then I actually just like I sat in a plow truck with my boyfriend one night while he was plowing and started taking some videos, like just outside of the side of the truck of like a dozer moving some snow, that kind of thing, threw it together, posted it. And like it did really well. And they were like, wait, you can do that. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I do.
That's like kind of my thing. And so
Yeah.
then I had a conversation with our general manager about like, yeah, I can do social media and like marketing services and stuff like that. And then that kind of led to like landing them as a client. And then I did go full time with them for a little bit, and I was their marketing and HR coordinator, which I really enjoyed. It was really fun to work like alongside everyone in the office, not as like a work from home model. And that was like super fun and everything like that. I think I learned pretty early that you can't always like work with the one you love. So I think to like, save
Yep.
like our
Fair.
relationship and everything like that, I think it was like a better bet to just like go back to the kind of you having them as a client. We hired an amazing admin assistant who was able to take over some of the HR stuff. So like it all worked out in the wash, but I went back to a little bit more of a like working on my business model, because they're like a legacy client for me at this point. Like I hope I have them forever and ever. So that's kind of like where I'm at now. Back to like I would say part-time. They have a very like custom contract at this point though, because I like was full-time and now I'm not. So like I do like brand collateral for them. Like I just did their business cards. We have our 30-year anniversary party coming up in 2-3 weeks or so, and I'm helping with like the invite list. I'm going to be sending out the email newsletter. Like they have a very like custom package. But aside from them, I usually like I just do social media management. I do content days, so like you can hire me for a couple hours. I'll come out, I'll take like brand photos because I do photography as well. So I'll take brand photos. We'll do like a batch creation of reels. And then I do content strategy as well. So if you want to do your own social media, but you're just looking for like a second set of eyes, or you feel really like burnt out, or you have a big creative block, I can help like get you back onto like feeling re-inspired to create and all that stuff with like templates, a content strategy, like the whole kind of kit. That's kind of where I'm at now.
Awesome.
Yeah. It was my
So it
very
all
long
kinda
ramble to get there.
Sounds
but-
like
Came
Yeah.
full circle.
Sounds like
Yeah.
it might get two. Yeah, sounds like you might get 2 new customers by the sounds of it, eh, Hodder?
Always. Like I said, 'cause I was. That's how it originally came up with when we had Jason on. Was
Right.
it probably episode 10 or 11 or whatever it was?
Yeah.
And I was kind of talking about how I was kind of like becoming overwhelmed with not overwhelmed, but like just kind of running out of daytime to be able to do this sort of stuff. So then he brought up having you as, I think at the time you were just went on full time with him, I think so we kind of talked about that for a little bit, and then just kind of just trying to navigate where to go next with it. So this has definitely been super helpful.
Yeah, I'm glad I could help. I know that like social media is such a foreign language for a lot of people in this industry, because it's like not what you're used to. Like you guys just want to like, like hit the ground running, enjoy some time outside, and not have to like stare at your phone for hours and hours thinking about what to post. So I'm hoping that like even a little bit of this was helpful for everyone. So
I'd say it was definitely helpful to a lot of people to kind of, well, especially like as say if there's a young company starting out, because I know a lot of our listeners and followers and stuff are right, like just some of those helpful things to pick a strategy, stick with it, stay consistent, like just all these little things that I'm sure they hear, but like to hear it from a couple guys and yourself that made it work is definitely, and it's 100% worthwhile. Like I don't do any advertising. Whether either word of mouth or it comes from Instagram or social media, I guess, not just Instagram, but it is definitely worthwhile of the time to do it.
Yeah. And I think you guys have done like such a great job at building like personal brands. Like anybody that follows you feels like they know you and know like the person behind the brand. So at like any advice for people just starting out, like if you're the only person kind of running your business, or you're starting with it's just you and maybe like one other person, like get behind the camera, show your face, like show your lifestyle, show the things you do on weekends, like that kind of stuff. Like you want to share your opinion and like your perspectives on things, because like personal brands are really the way that like I would say marketing in general is going. Like people don't want to know like brand, like I would say marketing in general around brands is not the same as it used to be. Like people want to feel like they're a part of it now. They don't want to just like hear from a brand.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That was one thing I wish I did earlier. Like when I first started doing this, like, because I've been doing this since 2011, and I ran a page from, when did I meet you, Brandon? 4 years ago now, I guess, 5 years ago.
It's been at least 5 years ago, I think.
So from like 2011 till 2019, I'd probably had like 25 posts total, just randomly throw something up, never went in front of the camera, never made a video. And then, we just kind of, once we started talking and stuff and started doing that, and like, I think I had like, I don't know, 300 followers for 9 years. And then once you made that switch to start being like consistent, put a video in your face, people like, you said they get that instant kind of connection, and then people just kind of want to follow along. And there's lots of guys, like I'd say some of the guys and girls that I follow along with on there are people that I'm more likely to stop on their post if I almost feel like I know you through seeing your face day to day, right? So it definitely helps and definitely worthwhile, and don't wait 9 years.
Yeah. I find that too with like stories. Like I know one thing that I've kind of learned along the way is like stories are where you sell. So like, cause stories can be a lot like very subtle in the way that you sell, where you're just like telling a story kind of through them, where you're like, like here's what we have on tap for today, doing this project over here. And then like a drone footage, if you will, of like some stripes that you're laying. You're like, oh, super cool over here. And then that can like just segue super nicely to like, hey, like our capacity is running really low because of like the super awesome work we're doing. So like, we have a couple spots left for like spring aeration, or we have a couple spots left for like fall cleanup. Like it flows a lot better than to just create a post of like fall cleanup, book now.
Hey, hire me.
Hey,
hire me with my thumbs up.
Get some leaves cleaned up.
We need to fill our schedule. Hire me.
Pretty much. So like stories are really stories are a good spot to like warm up your leads or warm up your audience a little bit, because they're like, oh cool, like this is how their day's going, and then you could just like gently be like, nice. I only have a couple spots left, and they're like, oh yeah, well all the work you've been doing, like for sure,
And I find myself scrolling more through stories than anything lately. Like just kind of, instead of like scrolling on the page, I just find them kind of just tapping through. So who knows? Another thing I got to get better at.
The list keeps growing.
Yeah. Oh, my list is huge.
Yeah.
Oh, every time we come on here once a week, I get something added to my list of things I got to be better at. So one day I'll get through it all. But
we'll get through it in the winter when that was good. Yeah. Kristine, do you ever get overwhelmed by posting for other people so much every day, or how do you like manage that?
Yeah, I have some like really great tools that I use. Like I use something called Later, and it's an auto scheduling software. So with Kristine especially, like any reel I like to post like on the platform myself. Just because I find like editing it, getting it with the right audio, like all of that stuff is just a bit easier. But if it's like a carousel or something like that, we'll post through Later, and that just allows me to not have to be like on my phone at a specific time. And then I just try to like time block. Like I give myself like 15-20 minutes in the morning, 15-20 minutes in the evening to answer like any DMs that we got, any comments, or like if any of our guys have shared content and stuff like that. So I think like being really intentional with your time is helpful as well, instead of just being like, oh, I'm at Tim's, I'm quickly going to check my phone, because then I go down a rabbit hole of like, oh, someone posted this, now I have to answer this comment, So I think like just giving yourself like a little bit of time in the morning, a little bit of time in the evening to like respond to comments and stuff like that, that's really helped me. And then I use Later for auto publishing. I use Notion for our content calendar.
Okay,
So
nice.
Notion is, yeah, I just find it like, first of all, so aesthetically pleasing. So that kind of gets me inspired to like make content or like create
Yep.
content on it. So I use Notion, and then for any video editing, I'm using CapCut. So I find that just
Okay,
because it
cool.
links to a desktop app as well. So if I don't want to be on my phone and I'm trying to like move text around really
Right.
small, I just throw it up and it syncs to my laptop, which is like so helpful. So those are kind of my big three for sure.
That's
Yeah.
okay. Later, Notion, and CapCut.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, nice. I'm glad you mentioned those. So everyone listening, check those three out if you
Yeah.
need a little help.
Yeah.
I'm
If
gonna
only
check
I
out
had
Notion
affiliate
for.
links. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, join the club.
Yeah.
Got another one for you after talking about kind of
Nice.
that. How do you have any kind of suggestions for people trying to like, say if you wanted to reach out to brands and that sort of stuff, like to try to get some of those collaborations? Do you have kind of suggestions on ways to approach that, or just wait for them to reach out to you, or anything kind of, because like I said, it's definitely a huge benefit of the social media, being able to work with some of these companies. So do you have any kind of strategy for that?
Yeah, I think if you're if you're an influencer trying to reach out to a brand or something like that, like having a media kit is really important. So having like, it could just be a one pager, it could be like a couple pages that shares like kind of your niche. So like, you know, for example, say you're like a wellness creator or something like that. So you're like, I share like self-care, wellness, you know, day in the life, that kind of stuff. So like your niche, your engagement rate, and like some stats about like how many followers do I have, like if you've done any brand collaborations in the past, like how did they go, like do a little case study on like, you know, I partnered with Milwaukee and the post that I did got X amount of reach, X amount of engagement, which led to X amount of sales. And kind of like show that full funnel through. So like any kind of past examples that you have, or just like presenting the information about your account in a really nice way, and then do your homework on the brand. Don't send a generic like, hey, I'd really love to work with you, here's my media kit. Like send a like, hey, I've been following you for a while, the last post that you did about blank like really resonated with me, and like I really feel the same about your values and all that stuff. Like I'd really love the opportunity to work together, attaches my media kit, that kind of thing. So like, and you can send that in a DM, you can send it in an email, whatever method you'd like to use, but like do your homework so that they don't feel like you're just reaching out to them because you've, you know, spammed 15 different companies with the same message.
Yeah. Okay. So that'd be kind of like go through Instagram, maybe first hit them with the DM, and then try to get a contact to set up an email or phone call. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
And if you're like smaller too, like I would go after like smaller brands first. So like maybe local brands, and that kind of thing, where like you could actually meet them in person, and that kind of thing. Like I think getting off of the platform sometimes is actually quite helpful. To, like meet people in real life. And then if that collaboration goes really well, then like now you have a case study, and you can grow from there. But I think like on some of the bigger pieces or bigger brands and stuff like that, they're looking for the numbers. Like, can you convert? Like, quite honestly, some of the bigger ones aren't like, yeah, we want to take a chance on this little micro influencer. They're like, what numbers can you give us?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
But the smaller brands might be like, you know what? We have the same values. You seem like a great guy. Like, let's try working together. So I think it's just like build your way up. Yeah.
Gotcha. Sweet. Yeah, because I've always wondered that if there's like a strategy for it, or just kind of keep posting stuff until someone reaches out.
Yeah. I think too, like engaging with their content helps. Like comment on their video, or like comment on their reels, their posts, reply to their stories. You know, do if they do stickers on their stories or anything of like polls or like question blocks or anything like that, like do all of those so that they're seeing you consistently. Look back and they like, you know, if they're ever like auditing you to see if that you'd be a good fit for them, they can see like, oh, like, you know, they're active on our page, like they care, instead of you just like, hey, I just follow and like, here's a message. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Nice.
Again, super helpful.
Super helpful. And a lot of people get a lot of value out of this. So love it. Sweet.
Yeah, Is that all you got, Martin? Asked the, like, influencer question in a while. So that was good. Yeah.
Switch it up. Switch it up.
Switch it up. No, love it. Cool, Kristine. Well, if that's all you got, thanks so much for coming on. We appreciate it big time.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. I know this has been like, a long time coming, but I know your schedules are super busy, so it's been great to finally chat. So
it's been awesome. And I know you said you mentioned before you have the what was it?
Like the content hook guide thing.
Yeah. So is there a spot where people can kind of find that, or do they reach out to you, or how would that work?
If it's like helpful for everyone, if you have show notes for this, I can like give you the link directly to download it.
Perfect.
So they could be in the show notes, but it's 50
we can do
that. Yeah, perfect. It's 50 content hooks, and it's separated into 4 categories. So value-driven hooks, inspirational hooks, engaging hooks, and then storytelling hooks. And again, like I mentioned earlier, I like to think of them more as prompts. So they kind of like get your mind going. So if you feel like you're in a bit of a rut or anything like that, they can be used both as like what's on your reel in terms of like text. They can start a caption for you. They can just start your brain kind of rolling on content. So it's kind of like a 3-pronged approach to helping people through their content.
You get the juices flowing.
Exactly. Yeah.
I like it.
I love it.
Perfect.
I love it. I'm sure Martin and I will be taking a look at those right when you send the link over.
Yeah, of course.
Awesome, Kristine. Thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it again.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, have a great rest of your evening, I think it is. Yeah.
Night for me.
Night, evening.
Yeah.
Yeah,
perfect.
Night and evening for us.
Yeah.
Exactly. Cool, guys. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks, Kristine. See you, Martin.
See you guys.
We want to thank you for listening to the Crooked Stripes podcast. If you like this episode of the pod, subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It's very much appreciated. Head over to Instagram and follow @The Crooked Stripes. From there, stay up to date on all things lawn, landscaping, and snow removal. Don't forget to join us next week for another episode of The Crooked Stripes. Thanks again for listening.